Yes, I think it's recording. Good. Let us see. Hello, Sujata.
Hi, Suresh. How are you?
I'm always happy.
That's what I love about you, Suresh. You're always happy and so
Yeah.
cheerful.
I know. Lesson to be learned.
Lovely to be like that.
I know. Hey, guys, I'm just driving back from Kodaikanal. So anytime I'm at log out, so please don't mistake me. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Please be careful while you're on the road.
Yeah. Hi, Purva.
Apurva, you got my splash screen?
Yes, I'm just pulling it up now.
Anytime.
Who are all there?
Yeah, can you see it?
Oh, yes.
Suresh, that's a really nice card. I couldn't see properly on the chat. I tried to zoom, but now as it's on screen, I can see it. It's really very, very nicely done, very detailed.
I didn't want to say too much in the card because then it would be a spoiler.
Very, really nice. Unfortunately, WhatsApp wasn't allowing me to see this much clarity.
No, WhatsApp is a messaging platform. They are using it for all sorts of things. It really works only for messaging properly.
Correct.
Anyway. From the messages received, I think the attendance will be on the lower side this month.
Well, there are a few minutes yet, so let's see.
We'll wait a little bit. Give them 5 extra minutes if needed.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Anand. Are you still in Australia?
No, just got back.
Okay.
Kicking and screaming. But anyway, I've got back.
Welcome back home.
Okay. Thank you.
How many have finished the book?
Not yet.
I finished it.
Good.
Yeah, I finished it last night, which very
Good.
timely of me, I know.
It's one of those books you have to read up to the last page.
I know.
In whichever order, that is a different thing. Anand's method is the best for it.
Last 100 pages.
Start there.
First 10 pages, middle 10 pages, last a lot of pages.
And then fill in the blanks if needed.
The others will fill it for you when you stammer. And if you know something, that's a sales trick. I should do that.
You're hearing a professional talking, Papa.
No, there's thousands of books, and that's that many, much money. I used to enjoy reading them.
Hi, Suresh.
Hello.
Right.
Okay.
Well, there'll be a lot of people today, I think. At least 12 I counted.
That's good.
There should be 12 to 15 according to, but let's see. Any ideas of first physical meeting? Perhaps August should be bad for August in a very positive way.
Let's see how it goes.
Because the numbers seem to be creeping up again.
Again, that is the whole reason. Otherwise, itself should have been a physical meeting.
True. So I suggest that
for me, I wouldn't have been able to make it if it was physical meeting.
Yeah.
I'm still confined.
July is a sort of neither here, neither there. We are just past the middle of the year. So I think August is, we shouldn't make plans. That's it. but we should make plans. See, it's a bit of a positive negative, because you got to plan, right, in case there is a window. But I seriously suggest to give both this month and next month a miss and try for August. Physical
Probably the way things are going, I'm not too confident about next month. But we will do all our research and the planning to make it a hybrid meeting if possible. So that we'll be ready, whether it is July, whether it's August, whatever it is. We should know how to do it. None of us have experience of a hybrid meeting.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Alago, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Nice and loud. Okay, good. Yeah. How are you, Suresh?
Oh, surviving, but always happy.
I know we really thought we could meet now this month, but what to do? It's all coming back. So we have to be careful.
Numbers are quite bad.
Yeah, the cases, lots of cases. Among my friends also, I know so many people have got.
See, meeting somebody one-to-one in a house is a different story. But meeting a group is again something else.
Yes.
Alipu, did a lot of people get it in Aiba that day?
I know 2-3 people got it, because who was sick? Nirmal Mirza was sick. Kanta and Sunita also got sick, but we don't know whether it was COVID or flu or the COVID symptoms.
And Ira also.
Who's that?
Ira Kalra.
Oh, he or she also got sick. There were 250 ladies in a closed air-conditioned room. Then what?
Correct.
Yeah.
Just one case is enough, no?
Is enough.
Just one case.
It's all mild. There's nothing serious.
Still.
Yeah. It's still bad. So better to be careful till this wave gets over.
Let's see how things go. We can skip next month also if needed.
Hey, Latika has also joined. Hi, Latika.
Hello.
Just trying to see. I can't get into gallery view. I think.
That we have to remove the.
Yeah, because we have this. Let me stop. Yeah, is it okay if I?
You can remove it.
Stop sharing.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's all right. Now it's okay.
Hello, can't hear. Hello, can you hear? Purva, can you speak?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Prema.
Hi.
Prema.
Hi,
Nice to see
hello.
you.
Let me see.
How are you?
Anu, Purva. No, I'm bad at No. Okay. Just comes and goes.
Suresh, you're very dark.
That's a problem in my room. Lighting is a little tricky.
Okay.
Not able to organize the lighting properly here.
All right.
Sit in front of a window, Suresh. It might help.
No, mine is a desktop. I can't move it.
Oh, okay.
That is where I get into trouble. The laptop, it would have been rather easy.
Or put a light behind it.
That's what I need to, but the way the wiring is done in my room, it's going to be tricky right now. It'll have a lot of line leads and I don't want that near my computer at least.
I got a light behind my screen, so.
Yeah, that is the correct method actually. It's a correct method really.
Hi, Prema.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Are you supposed to have the light in front of you?
Yes. Behind the screen, best. Above, slightly above and behind the screen. Oh, I'm back.
That's a good echo effect. Can you do it again?
I have. I went to my phone.
Purva and Mala, your recordings are very important now.
There was a break in my internet connection. It may happen again.
Okay.
4-7.
Yeah. Shall we start?
Yeah.
First, a couple of announcements. So once more, we meet online. The case is going up in Chennai. I think this was the best move. Mala is investigating the possibility of holding our next monthly meeting as a hybrid meeting, maybe the month after that. Common to all of us Chennai members who expect to meet physically at Apara galleries and our out-of-town members. Let us see how it goes. Our book for July is a meeting on the Andheri overbridge by Ambai. Physical copies are not available at Odissi.
Oh.
Yeah, because there is a problem of Amazon having cornered whatever is there in the market. Amazon has stocks and has heavily discounted the Kindle version, by the way. Just some 52 rupees or something.
I heard it's out of print or something. Anyway.
Maybe, and whatever stocks are available have been already cornered.
Oh
So
dear.
the regular trade doesn't have any source anymore.
So Suresh, should we have a plan B for those who only read physical copy?
You can buy a printed copy through Amazon. It's still available there.
Oh, it's available. Okay, all right.
Printed also is available. The Kindle is very, very cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody put it on the chat, the name of the book, please?
Yeah,
I'll do that.
I can. Yeah, and if y'all don't feel like supporting Amazon, I have a copy I'm happy to lend you.
Wonderful.
Where do you live, Purva? That's the main
I live in Adyar.
Okay.
Then we need to decide our August and September books.
Okay.
So I will start the process in a few days. Start doing your research for possible nominations. We need a good list. Now, I'll start with my review.
Yeah,
please do.
This is actually a summary come review. It's sort of a mix of both. I don't know how it happened. That's how it ended up. I'm going ahead with it. The Island of Missing Trees. The story follows the travails of one fictional family from the troubled island of Cyprus in the early 1970s to their relocation in Britain in the 2000s and the 2010s. The story is told through mainly three narratives. One by the two protagonists, Kostas, a Christian Greek Cypriot boy, and Daphne, a Muslim Turkish Cypriot girl. And one by their daughter Ada, and the third by a very perceptive fig tree. This starts as a story of tender love, forbidden love, of the Romeo and Juliet kind. Their communities are in a civil war situation. Now, Shafak demonstrates her storytelling skill. The story now explores the total disruption experienced by the people in a conflict zone. Friends and neighbors for decades suddenly fighting and killing each other. The story now takes on the garb of a historical fiction, dealing with the conflict, the UN and intervention, the creation of a green line, dividing the Greek and Turkish portions of the island, and the impact of all this on the people. Our young lovers find the privacy they need with the support of the owners of the pub, the Happy Fig, a pub with our iconic and perceptive fig tree growing inside the building and through a hole in the roof. Shafak uses the fig tree to expand the reach of her story. The fig tree starts talking about the interconnectivity of everything in nature, the people, the animals, the insects, the trees, and the land. The story now explores the entire ecosystem. All the animals, birds, and insects keep telling the fig tree what is happening in the outside world. We have the tree telling us Interesting details about the natural world, the dying out of fruit bats. That's a real situation, by the way, it really happened. The migration of the butterflies, that also happens regularly. And the damage being done by humans to the earth and the environment in the form of small monographs skillfully woven into the story as asides. Then there is a break in the relationship. Costas is sent away to Britain by his family to break up the affair. The next chunk of the story is in the 2000s, when Costas, now an evolutionary bioecologist, returns to Cyprus ostensibly for a research project, but actually to find Daphne, who is now a scientist working with the UN. Ultimately, they decide both to go back to Britain. The rest of the story is set in the late 2010s. Costas and Daphne's daughter Ada is born and grows up as a British child, their parents deciding not to expose her to their traumatic past. Here, Shafak starts exploring the psychological traumas faced by Ada due to this. She grows up as a troubled and shy child, and after her mother's death, is not able to cope with all the emotional load. There is a brilliantly written episode of Ada who totally blanks out, has a meltdown, and continuously screams in class. After his wife's death, Costas is unable to properly reach out to Ada, and consequences of this are also explored by Shafak very well in the story. The resolution comes with the arrival in Britain of Miriam, Daphne's sister. Ultimately, the story is about the main characters, how the main characters handle grief. They are unable to articulate it, they suppress it, they deal with it in their own way. Costas deals with it by withdrawing to his academic pursuits and to his research activities. Daphne by initially joining the UN reconstruction team in locating the victims, and later in Britain by totally suppressing everything. Ada is unable to manage the emotional turmoil and has a meltdown. Miriam by going back to her traditions and superstition. These different approaches by the characters are skillfully woven together into taking the story forward. Ultimately, the story is all about what happens when people cannot handle grief, or how they handle grief. The fig tree, now transplanted as a cutting in Britain, watches this all and in an important part of the story, and is an important part of how the story ends. Even though the end is beautifully crafted, I will not go into it as it will be a spoiler. Shafak's brilliance shines through as she is able to incorporate the many facets and viewpoints into one story. Is this a book, a tender love story, a historic fiction, a story dealing with the trauma of dislocation, a story of how our roots are always present, of ecological sensitiveness, of the interconnectedness of everything in nature, of various discourses, of animals, birds, insects, trees, and the entire biome, above and below the ground? Is it an exploration of the impact of emotional trauma on a person's behavior? You decide. That's it.
Thank you, Suresh. Who'd like to go next?
Can I go next?
Please.
Okay. So Suresh's was very comprehensive. Now, just to add, right as we speak, Cyprus is still a divided island. The northern half of it has been occupied by Turkey, widely acknowledged to be illegal. And then there's a UN buffer zone. And then you have the Republic of Cyprus. And the Republic of Cyprus claims nominal control over all of Cyprus, but really they don't have much control over the Turkish area in the north. And also, it's important to note that for most of Turkey's history, recent history at least, it was part of the Ottoman Empire, and then the British annexed it in 1914. So it's kind of interesting that the partition is still present, both religiously and ethnically. So the book, the prose was very lyrical, and the way the allegory of the fig tree was very well done. I think there were some cases where, even though the author doesn't say so explicitly, there's something happening in the background. For instance, when they go to see that the medium, the woman who can portend or divine the past or portend the future, she kind of comes up with a very specific name of a child, an infant. And really, I think that Miriam had told that medium about the name and had set it up so that it was brought out. Just my own feeling, but I find it hard to believe that a medium could come up with such specific, information about the past. It's the book is also, kind of touches on various issues, just the issues that affect modern society, a Turkish man with his gay lover, that kind of complication, and how it is not dealt with properly. I think it's kind of really sad that they were chained together and dropped into a well. So those issues probably still exist, but we don't know what the state of society in Cyprus is today, and it is a very well-to-do country. I mean, it's a very popular tourist destination, and so people enjoy a high standard of living. Now, Ada, of course, or Ada, means island in Greek, and I think she is. I don't think she's troubled, actually, though that's what we tend to think when we first read the book. But towards the end of the book, the way she interacts with Miriam, the way she deals with the crisis she's facing, seems to indicate that she has a very good head on her shoulders, and she's able to kind of come to terms with her mother's death. Now, it's a little there are a lot of loose ends regarding Daphne, because we don't exactly know how she died, whether it was a deliberate overdose, whether it was a mistaken overdose where she just took too much of medicine when she was drunk, something like that. But it is interesting that the author tries to make her present through the fig tree all the time. So the fig tree is kind of symbolic, a stand-in, a proxy for Daphne at some point. Other than that, the resolution of how Ada deals with the crisis and how people respond on social media was very interesting. So maybe it leads us to think that social media is not all bad, because Ada gets a lot of messages of support from people all over the world. She really seems to have started a trend with that hashtag, can you hear me now, or something. So yeah, so there are a lot of topics that are touched upon in this book, and I think the author has done a fine job of, one, revealing the history of Cyprus, of the conflict itself, and how people have had to deal with the trauma of that conflict, which really is still not fully resolved, and how people who are displaced, hiding something from a child usually never works, because a child realizes at some point that there's a deliberate attempt to hide something. So whether it's a good thing to kind of explain everything to a young adult or to hide history is the other open question. That's all I have, nothing else.
Okay, can I go next?
Yeah,
sorry.
Purva says there's no current at her place.
Okay. Hello. Can I go? No. Purva?
No, she says she has no current in her house.
Okay, so I'll go next.
Please do.
Okay. Yeah, I'll listen to Ramesh and Suresh. And okay, what I have written, I feel, after listening to you, is what I felt when I read the book, how I enjoyed the book. Okay, I've written it out and I'm going to read it out. How do you describe a book in one word? These words were used to describe this book: magical, powerful, beautiful. The first two I understand, but the last one, that was from The Guardian, the book's cover quoted a beautiful novel. I also say I also say often that that was a beautiful novel. Frankly, I used it without thinking much about the word's meaning. I should use it to describe a painting. The term beautiful is visual. I went beyond the cover and the usage started to make sense. The author's vocabulary was her palette. She mixed a bit of emotion, a dash of imagery, used her words like an inspired painter, carefully, so that every dab of paint goes towards making a whole, contributing to the whole. Now I'm reading from page 167. Hello?
थोड़ा मिट्टी है ना उसको हटा दे.
Okay, now page 167, she says, he pulled out a kerchief and wiped the tears and the soot off her cheeks. She held his hand, resting her head against his palm, not letting go. He felt the warmth of her mouth, the sweep of her eyelashes on his skin, a hush in the air, the world suddenly far off. So beautiful, you know. Then the style. First a sketch. We have the fig tree telling us about Cyprus, the island that breathes in the novel, the island that participates in the happiness. Then comes a watch. I was reminded of The Dead Man and Orhan Pamuk's The Red. What do you call? They call me Red. I am Red, something like that. That book, you know. There comes a watch and the letters etched on it. We know there is something there, but before we go impatient, she takes us to England, the cold winter, Christmas, and a girl who screams. We see the fig tree again. I wondered how the girl who screamed would do her project. She has no past. Then the aunt appears, bringing with her the magic of the Ottoman era, the ancient practices that linger. By the way, I heard that that a lot of people, Idi Amin used to spit onto the air all the time to ward off evil eye. And I have, because I have lived in the Middle East for such a long time, I have an evil eye on my front door. I really believe in it. I don't know why. The blue eye charm, you know. In tiny steps, the love story is weaved in. Slowly, without disturbing our thoughts, Elif Shafak slips it in. No dramatic words, but so much drama. The drama brought in by moving fingers, images conjured up by the deft use of words. Words. Now I'm going to quote a few. Once upon a memory. What a way to start on a journey, like a fairy tale, but where the prince and princess did not live happily ever after. The author defines obscure words, legends. She says, legends are there to tell us what history has forgotten. Map. A map is two-dimensional representation with arbitrary symbols and incisive lines that decide who is our enemy and who is our friend. There are many such precise definitions. Just one more from the beginning. Cartography is another name for stories told by winners. We know all that, we say. So many have said these. Still, why are these words so charming? Going back to the fig tree. Such an innovative sutradhar, to quote from the Sanskrit plays. The fig tree knows. I was reminded of the movie Paheli, based on Duvidha, written by Vijayadan Datta. I don't know whether any of you have read the short story. It's a beautiful short story. And the puppet. This character gave the book the color of a fable, a legend, Purana. The ancient lives of ordinary people become legends when the Sutas sang about, like in the old Malabar stories when the Panars sang about, how the Sutta and the Panar made heroes of ordinary men, how Kostas becomes a hero. How did Elif Shafak go about writing this, I wondered. I'd like to know how a writer tells a story. Of course, she planned. She had drawn out of her characters. Still, when she wrote about them, the characters seemed to have flown out of her pen and spelt out their own stories in their own words. They cast their webs. Elif had nothing to do there. I sometimes felt that all stories have been told. There is nothing more to say in this world. The humankind has done everything. That may perhaps be the reason for the science fiction and wizard books. I feel depressed. A book like this gives me hope. Everything is old, war, love, partition, religion, history, but one still can relate it differently and make it new. Elif Shafak has done that, made myth new, partition a fresh wound, Love, still a fairy tale. An ordinary man and a woman. A Prince Charming and the Sleeping Beauty. I have to talk about the end. So seamlessly done. Not many can do that. Ada and her project. The fig tree comes out, and I'm so happy Daphne is still around. Done.
Can I go next, please?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk about how the book impacted me and, what is it which stayed with me. First of all, for me, Mariam was not a fleeting picture in the book. She made a lot of sense to me, and she brought a lot of, what should I say, something light-hearted to the book, which otherwise was really sad and heavy. So some of the things which he said, I don't know whether I should relate it to the Eastern culture or universal wisdom, but it is something which I have also heard. Like you see, she says, whether the egg falls on the stone, it will suffer. And if the stone falls on the egg will still suffer.
Yeah.
I have heard it in my childhood. Kharbuza churi pe gire, ya churi kharbuze pe, katta to kharbuza hi hai, you know.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing that she was saying. It made me laugh, you know. And so many things that she said were like wisdom, which, like I said, maybe universal or maybe Eastern, but it made a lot of sense to me, and it brought in a very light-hearted mood. Ramesh, I have one thing to share with you. You need to read a book called The Laws of the Spirit World. It is about a Parsi lady who lost 2 of her sons. You will start believing in mediums. I have had a profound spiritual experience around the book, so I can vouch for the fact that there must be mediums and there must be angels who look out for us, because otherwise what happened to me wouldn't make much sense. And it happened. I was reading the book. I left it at the page where it said that when you are going to have an accident, something nasty is going to happen, and you get saved, you tell yourself it was lucky that, you know, this was averted. It is not luck. It is a good, soul which was passing by and helped you avert it. It happened to me. There was a man entering my room at 2 a.m. and this is where I had ended the book for the night. And in 10 seconds, my world would have changed. If I also had not been looking at the door, I was able to lock it. I was able to call the police at the last minute. But I had to believe that there is something beyond what we believe in. And those are the laws of the spirit world.
What's the name of
Hey,
the book?
Anu, you have to tell us what happened after that, after the 2 a.m.
I cannot
more
tell you
interesting
how it
than the
changed
book.
it changed my whole life, that day. I was reading the book, The Laws of the Spirit World, and around 2:30, I put the book down. I did not even kind of, close the book. It was just lying, like the way we just put it down. And the light was on. I dozed off. Suddenly, I wake up. I go to the bathroom. I come back. I'm standing by my bedside and I'm looking at the door and I'm asking myself, light ban karu ki nahi karu? Neend to aa gayi mujhe. Do I need to go up till the door and close the light? I'm still thinking, and I can see the door hinge opening. I cannot see the door. I cannot see the person. I can just see the hinge opening. I screamed, kaun hai? And I called out for my boy and I told him, ghar mein koi hai. I sprinted, I locked my door, and I told the boy, please come and sleep in the dining room, which is outside my bedroom. And I'm sitting there shell-shocked that there is somebody in the house. Suddenly the boy started screaming, Bhabhi ji, ghar mein koi hai. Bhabhi ji, ghar mein koi hai. I called up the police. Now the police came within 5 minutes. And they're telling me, you come and open the door. I said, I am not coming anywhere. You come to the back door and the boy will open the door for you. I am not coming anywhere. There were 2 policemen, one lady policeman. They walked in. Then they went upstairs. They found the bathroom light on and they found the bedroom door open. He had jumped onto the security guard's box and run away. And then when we pictured it, the boy used to go up to the bathroom there. And then he will come down and lock the main gate. So this man has been sitting outside every day observing his movements. When he went up to the bathroom, he has come into the house, climbed the stairs, and gone and stationed himself in the bedroom there, and stayed there for 4 hours so patiently. There was a computer charging over there. He did not lift up anything out of the house. So, I mean, gorgeous. And then when I opened the book again, this is where it was. When you think an accident is averted, please remember, no, it was not good fortune. Some angel came and helped you. I found it very difficult. That it was chance.
How reassuring for all of us.
Very reassuring.
Those 10 seconds could have changed my life, for the worst.
Very nice to see.
It's a nice story. Very nice. Yeah. Oh God, I would have been scared.
I was petrified out of my wits. I wouldn't even come out to open the door. I told them, come to the back door. The boy will open it for you. I am not coming out.
Lucky you had
should
your
know this
phone.
book, The Laws of the Spirit World. It's a beautiful book. Beautiful.
Okay.
Book.
Okay.
Please put it in the group. No, please, Ben, so that I can read it sometime. Otherwise,
you should. It's so gripping. You don't feel like because it's about this Parsi lady who had 2 sons. They went to test drive a car which they had to take for a race, and they died in an accident. She was so stricken with grief that one lady in a marriage, another Parsi lady, started asking of people that her sons want to meet her. Who is this lady whose sons died? From there, she met her, found out, and then she started writing, and her sons told her, if you grieve for us like this, we cannot progress in our spiritual journey, let us go with happiness. And Rameshan, the first time she met the medium, do you know, the medium addressed her by the name which her elder son had for her?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I found that Mariam was a very lighter note in the book, and I used to look forward to her comments. So she is portrayed as, a little egg-headed and flimsy, but I did not see her like that, somehow for whatever reason. And Ada is also an Urdu name for mannerisms. So I'm not sure whether her name is Ada or Ada, but eventually towards the end of the book, I decided to call her Ada only, So because it's a mix of 2 cultures, one cannot definitely say what the author is trying to say where, So, some things which for me were very hazy were how Daphne was impacted by what happened to her. She is very sad. She has turned into an alcoholic, but the journey I didn't come to know. I just knew the destination, that she became an alcoholic or she started abuse of some sort or whatever. So those 2, the Greek and the Turkish, those 2 guys, I mean, they wrenched my heart, It was so sad, and they were so gentle, they were so kind, they were giving their place, they were very nice to all the other people. They brought in a vibrancy to the novel, and their end was really, really, really disturbing. Now, the fig tree and the end, like Suresh said, not a good idea to give it away. It completely changes the entire complexion of the book, Completely, you see. That, yeah.
So, Anu, don't give it away. We haven't read
I'm
the
not
book.
going to. But I am endorsing what Suresh is saying, that yes, there is something about the end which places a new connotation to what the book is suggesting too, you see. Now, Ada, you are saying she's quiet, but look at her interaction with her aunt.
Yes.
She has such a ready wit and a response and a rebelliousness which does not go with shyness at all, you see. So I saw that this kid is very precautious, you see. And I did not, the father may have been very lost in his grief, but the father did find time for her also, It's not that he was not there for her, He was there for her. So the parts which were missing, like the Daphne's journey from where she was to where, that I would really like to know exactly what was she thinking of, because the book does a brilliant job of telling you what each person thinks, how they view their world, how they feel their world, how they feel other people. So her journey is missing, which kind of, is a regret that I wish I knew more about what happened. We know so much about what happened to her daughter. We know so much about, but this we did not know. So this is how it impacted me in some ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Purva?
Yeah. Thank you, Anu. Who'd like to go next?
Can I read what Devika has to say?
Please. Please.
Yeah, it's always interesting to know what Devika says. Okay, for me, the best part of the book is the first person fig tree speaking. Humor, wit, connectivity with other beings, with other earth beings. Best. Rest of book was just average. Waiting to connect to next fig tree speaks. Story very vague. Why didn't Costas try to get in touch with Daphne in
Exactly.
that
Yes,
interim period?
exactly.
Yes.
No,
I
I don't
agree.
think so.
Sorry, can the reader
Okay, next in order for
finish
me
reading?
was
I
the
couldn't hear. Too
screen.
many S's.
Sorry, next in order for me was the screen. I thought long and hard about it. The repercussions Ada faced, all well put. Miriam was the other nicely presented character for her joy, food, quirks, a bit overdue but jolly. Book had too many things going, listing it: nature, tree, cypress, war effects, immigrants, vague Daphne death, remembrance versus moving on, cypress and the group digging bodies, scream. It's not a great literary read, but I'm glad we did it. This is from Devika. Yeah, Purva?
Yeah. Sorry, it's,
Oh, that is surprising.
Yeah,
anyhow.
frozen.
Continue.
Anyone got any reactions to Devika's opinion?
I just thought it was an okay
Purva,
read.
may I go there?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, please.
Now, I did get this feeling that the author had bitten more than she could chew, because she was trying to put too many things together in that little bit of space that she had chosen to make the book into. But yes, the prose was lyrical and all of this. So there was beauty in her choice of words and her definitions, no doubt. But too many loose ends. And I do agree with Devika on those issues.
I would also like to, may I?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, then I will after that. Yeah.
I have no right to really speak, but since Devika's was read, I agree with Devika. I think it was a very average book. And I get the too many threads tied into too small a knot. Yes, some passages were lyrical, but I also get the feeling that the author loves words, which of course is beautiful because she's an author, but at the same time, you can get lost in a sea of words. And I'm trying to find a line that, let me just give you an example of what I have no right to say, but since we are giving personal reviews, it's okay. Listen to this line. Grief spooled itself around her entire being, tightening its grip on her like a coil of rope. You've got a metaphor and a simile in a very short sentence, which is technically not a way somebody can should write. Another thing is it's just too full of similes. Indian authors do that. They're not nowadays so much, but let's say about 10, 15 years earlier. So I found it cloyingly wordy. I like the fig tree. It was a wonderful symbolism of connecting two different societies. But again, I didn't like the fact, I didn't mind Costas showing his love for the tree, but I didn't like the fig tree talking about its romantic feelings for Costas. Somehow that seemed extremely contrived to me. I mean, I really can't imagine a tree saying, "Oh, my darling," and all that, can't wait to see you again. It didn't.
But that was supposed to be Daphne, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Daphne.
It is Daphne. That's the last sentence.
Talking to the tree, is it?
Yes.
No,
That's
no,
why you
no.
have to read the
No.
book.
The last sentence.
No,
the
that's
last
the
sentence.
twist. Not at all. Her
Okay,
spirit
don't
is
give
entered
away
into
the.
the tree.
Okay,
That's
continue,
the twist.
continue, continue.
You
I'll tell
continue.
you later.
You
Yeah,
continue.
Okay.
continue. Yeah.
I like the fig tree very much because of a line like this. With their roots tangled and caught up under linked to fungi and bacteria, trees harbor no such illusions. What are the illusions? About being lonely. Humans are lonely, trees are not lonely. For us, everything is interconnected.
Yes.
And I thought of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is it. We are the ones who create our own worlds of madness, loneliness, addiction, and things like that. Which makes me come to the takeaway I get. Leave the story, leave the too many threads, leave everything behind. What do I take away from this book, which, as I've said, I confess I haven't read fully, is that there is always a they and a us. There is always something different from us. Why did she scream? Because yes, she might be having problems of a teenager, but she was not being accepted. Why? We don't know, but there is a Ada and the rest of the students. There is a Turk and a Greek. There is the rest of the world and Cyprus, which itself is interesting. I never knew anything about Cyprus, okay, very little at least. The only thing I knew about Cyprus was that it was a home of brigands and
Gerald Darrell.
rogues and,
And Gerald Darrell, Lawrence Darrell.
Lawrence Darrell and Gerald Darrell.
And home of Lawrence Darrell. So that part was interesting. But that is the takeaway I get. And that is the way here. And the fig trees is the connecting part that doesn't allow a them and a us. It is a joining link. That was beautiful. So yes, the book I think was average, the kind I would read on a flight or waiting for a plane or something like that. I didn't find anything more to praise about it.
Okay, that's different. Okay, good.
Can I go?
Yeah,
please
you
go
should.
ahead.
I am very, I don't know. Yeah.
Can I go, please?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This book,
Please.
I confess, I haven't read. I couldn't read the last 100 pages like I normally do because it reminded me so much of a book from my past. About 30 years ago, I read this book. Exact same plot. I don't know how it comes. Maybe it's coincidence or whatever, intervention or whatever. It's called The 13th Valley. And it's a subject, it's about a tree on the Mekong Delta near Laos, the Cambodian border.
Okay.
Where the Americans in 1970, they had a small incursion without any permission. And there's troops who go there and they get ambushed by the enemy.
Yes.
And this tree is narrating the story. It's been there for millions of years and it's seen all these people go. Then there's this line drawn by some people from the West. Then there's North Vietnamese, and then there's South Vietnamese, and then there is turmoil. And then there's these French soldiers who come and they are voted out. And then there's Americans who are coming in. And the tree narrates most of the story until it gets blown up by some Americans because they want a place to land their helicopters. So the huge million tree gets blown up by the Americans to save life, and the tree feels happy. At least it's doing something, different. It's been nurturing generations. People lived under its roots. It's got its own children. And the story, there was, several stories. It was a huge tome, and I found a lot of similarities in it. It's about a nation in turmoil, interference from Western capital imperialists. Then families who have been uprooted. And there's so many love stories among them, the little Viet Cong guys running away from their homes and their girlfriends and all that. Anyway, so there you go. This plot has been used before, but maybe this girl wasn't even born when that book was written. And it's very unlikely that she's ever read it. Because,
maybe all stories have been told and they've all been written before.
Absolutely, perhaps.
But this is uncanny, that I remember. That's a 1,000-page book.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Did anyone think it had parallels to India with our own
partition?
Yes, love of superstition. Same superstitions also. Many of them, Nazar and all those kind of things that
Nazar, we do everything.
Right?
So maybe it's a thing.
And us against them, which is also,
that's true.
We may not be doing it, but it's very much there in India.
Yes. Very much there.
And maybe the idea, I thought her idea was very original and I didn't know there was this book about a tree. I thought, what a novel idea she had.
Yeah.
It was very
It's been
interesting.
used. It's a medium, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a medium. It's a good story. Like the trees lives for almost forever, and it's a silent spectator on the.
So if you have a little time, somebody explain, please, what you meant by the tree when it loves Costas and speaks in first person about some darling Costas. What is that to do with that? Definitely, I didn't have
last sentence
in my head, obviously.
The problem with that, Lakshmi, is that it's a spoiler.
We tell you
Pardon?
after this.
It's a spoiler.
Yeah, after
It's a
that,
spoiler,
that's the
so
spoiler. That would be a spoiler.
Okay. Got
Read
it.
the book. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I've only got a few pages left.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but Alagu wants to read it, so we
Yeah,
have to.
I want
Yeah,
to read
let's
it.
not
Let's not say
yeah,
the end.
absolutely.
Okay, who's
I'm
next?
sorry I never
Purva?
read it.
Yeah, sorry, I missed part of the meeting on account of the power. Who's next?
Prema?
Yeah, well, I've not written much because I just finished reading the book 15 minutes ago. So I have just to ask if you, I mean, this is by way of argument. You can say what you like. You say everybody says there were too many loose ends. Why does anyone have to neatly tie up the ends when you write them?
Yes.
It's
yes.
for you to conjecture what happened
I
afterwards.
agree.
I don't see why.
Yes.
I mean, that makes it into a work of science or something where everything is tied up into little knots and you print. That is one
Good
thing
one.
I disagree totally. And the second thing is, I don't think, she's written about Cyprus, okay? So everything that she knew about Cyprus has sort of rushed into her and become part of her. And there's nothing that she can leave out of it. There are the wars, there's the flora, the fauna, the whatever you call it. And it's had such a checkered history that she can't leave out any of the elements if she's going to write about Cyprus. So it's like a great big tapestry, which they used to have, Bayeux tapestry and all that in France, which showed scenes of battle and huge ones which tell a story. So it's like that. It's got its blood and gore, it's got love, it's got tenderness, and she can't leave out anything. And nature seems to be so much part of it, which is quite amusing and charming to hear the fig tree talk about a story from a butterfly who came and whispered to it, and there was a mouse, and there was even a mosquito, if you know what I mean. So there are a lot of little, it's like in some ways like a Panchatantra without a moral. One story leads into 2, 3, 4, 5, into 3, 4, 5, 6, into 8, 9, 10, 11. It's not one complete story. Just keep melding into the other one. Just keep melting into it, and they form a kind of a beautiful, slightly hazy, you can say, but a beautiful part of the tapestry where one scene just goes into the other. That's what I felt about it. And like everybody else, I like the fiction because it's got its own ideas and it likes to say things. And it's nice to hear it, the story said by the fig tree, because it's a little more philosophical than anybody else in the book. It's the only one that comes out with a little philosophy. And as for the comparisons, I agree. Every sentence, I would say they're incomparable, actually, the comparisons, but every little paragraph or something, any sentence ends with like, and it goes on to give you another comparison, which, as Lakshmi pointed out, is a mixture of simile and metaphor.
Yeah.
But this is again, I feel a bit of the Oriental in it, It's not British. Might have been brought up in Britain, but the Turkish thing comes through, as you said, someone said Indian authors write like that. A little bit of hyperbole, a bit of too much of exaggeration. That's the way we talk. That's what we've been told that we talk that way.
Yeah.
Right? By Westerners, we do talk like that. And we are colorful people with a colorful vocabulary, and we can't help it. So if she looks at things, in fact, a very simple thing about the bullet, which can't even be seen in Michaelis's body or something, he adds as if it were ashamed of the deed that it had done. So it's not just a bullet lodged in a man's body where you can't see the bullet, but to her it seemed like as though it was ashamed of the deed it had done and it couldn't be seen. It had hidden itself in the recesses of his body. I think this is something particularly not only Indian, but different,
Is
oriented.
mind frozen or everybody
Because
can't
if
hear?
you read books that have been translated from Urdu and all that kind of thing, whole lot of similes, metaphors, all not necessarily kept apart but jumbled together. And I don't know. I think it's Eastern more than anything else. So that's why I didn't even expect it to be like like any other book, structured. And it's not structured, yes. And then you find that there is a terrible paragraph all about the conflict. It's a very short chapter, very short. And it's terrible. But the end of it, she just drifts off into a passage about the tukar bird. And she says it's a little black and white bird and how it trills. And then she says it's the only bird on earth which says its own name, because apparently it says tukar, tukar, tukar.
Yeah.
So these are all very endearing, whether they are part of the story or they are too much or whatever. But it's reading a very grim,
very nice.
A chapter about something about war or politics. I don't remember what it is. I just like the endings. So many of the chapters have little endings like this, which are totally, you think, but it has a thread which connects it to the chapter that went before. It's not that it's totally unconnected. I would say it's seemingly unconnected, but there is a thread. And from that, she draws on with other things, which sound very, very charming. For example, there is that point where the bee talks about the death of the two gay people who run the tavern. So beautifully done. It's a bee and it comes and talks and you just hear the story. And some of her descriptions, for example, when she describes gay love, it's the most beautiful way it has been described.
Yes.
Very,
very.
Horrible descriptions of all kinds, or even now they say, oh, poor things and all. It's about 4 lines. And the way she writes it is, I have not bothered to copy down these things at all, because
very
as I said, I
tender.
finished reading the book. It is. And anyway, I must say I liked every bit of it from beginning to end. I'm not much of a judge. I say either I like the book or I don't like the book. That's all it is to me. So whether it's mediocre or not great literature, it's literature in its own way. It's Oriental literature. It's not English literature. Okay. This is how I look. That's all. I just want to say. So I haven't said anything about the book, which has been said before.
Acha, Purva,
Yeah.
Latika or Purva, I'd just like to say a few words.
Yeah, please. We have 7 minutes.
Okay.
Can I say just one thing more? It's a little bit like our own country, you know. We have the Cyril Radcliffe who drew the line across our country.
Oh, yes.
3 lines of that. And the second thing that reminded me enormously is the end where Daphne goes to interview the immigrants. And she finds they not only talk about their stories, they show her little possessions. Now, it's a big thing now, you know, what we call material memory. There's a big talk about it nowadays, today. And I know somebody who has written a beautifully illustrated book about people who fled from Pakistan to India and who brought away some object. And you don't know what is the explanation. Some have brought a saucepan and some have brought a beautiful something. Why they picked up that particular object? So she's interviewed all these people with pictures. I forget what it is. It was interviewed, related by my daughter in her book club in Germany. So that's how I listened to it. So these things are happening today about this material memories, they're called. So that,
and also, Prema, there is a museum in Delhi now about these people with their, of the things that they brought in from Pakistan. And all the small little objects, a teacup, a kettle, and so many things which has connected them to their past. It is.
So these things sounded like our partition, whether it's on this side of the border or the other, because people have interviewed people in Pakistan, they've done the same thing. I'm not saying India. That's all.
So I have to leave now. So I'll see you all next month. Okay. It was wonderful discussion. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Mason.
Sundari, what did you have to say?
Yeah, I like Prema. I liked reading the book. And I found so many things which are so good. I mean, I'm just going to read out. Superstitions are the shadows of fears unknown, which is so true. And bridges appear in our lives only when we are ready to cross them. I mean, there are some wonderful lines in this book which are really worth it. And the cruelty of life rested not only on its injustice, injuries, and atrocities, but also in the randomness of it all. I found all this very, very moving, and this is what I wanted to say about this book. It was, and I liked what Prema said. It's just that I liked the book. I didn't go into it deeply, whether it's okay. Maybe it's not a great literary feat, but it isn't. It's a very good and a moving read. I like this thing, the whole thing about a tree talking, and it was very moving. And I remember Maureen talking about how trees are connected to each other. They're actually finding research where trees sort of
talk to each other.
Communicate. Yes. So it was very nice. Thank you for whoever suggested it. That's all. Purva.
I'm looking forward to reading this book. Truly.
All of us suggested it.
Really want to read it.
Enjoy. I think I suggested it. I suggested it definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Latika, thank you.
And I'm very
Oh,
glad.
Latika, you
Can I
suggested.
say something?
You also.
Please.
Okay, go ahead.
I just go ahead from what everybody else has said. The only part which I was a little disappointed about because she hadn't done more with it was telling us about, really how Ada or Ada, however you pronounce it, she pronounces it as Ada, how she managed, that transitioning from being the butt of all ridicule, being cyberbullied, into becoming the craze, because everybody started, the positive stuff which was coming out about her screen. So when that went viral, that I thought if it had a little bit more said about it, it would have been very good. And I did feel that Miriam was the part which gave the book a certain amount of lightness, because otherwise you had Costas with his very serious about his trees and nature, Ada growing up trying to get in terms with her mother's loss, which she does luckily after because there is a part which is written that she thought her screaming and whatever it led to it could have been related to trauma experienced by her mother and father, or by her mother. And remember, she's the one who found her mother in a coma, whether she was overdosed or whatever it is. So that definitely makes a huge impact, especially on a teenager. So that was something which I think, the cyberbullying part of it, I felt a little bit more could have been said. But this is one case which I should say I was very happy about, that it just turned back on the people the nasties who put it up. It's turned into being something viral, into being something positive. So this is just one case I've heard which turned positive. And there are a lot of things that she's written, which, some of the things she's written, which I thought was very nice, like she talks about, about what the first generation immigrants wear, which is normally beige, gray, brown, black, but colors that do not stand out. And she says, colors that whisper, never shout. That made a lot of sense. And the other thing which I liked what she'd written, but where Costas says, or rather he thinks, that for the countless nameless deaths that have happened, which the CMP is trying to locate people, etc. He says, in the most surprising way, the victims continue to live, because that's what nature did to death. It transformed abrupt endings into a thousand new beginnings. And that, well, sounded good, may not be for the people who lost someone, but
it did sound much better than what it was. And overall, I thought the book was nice. I mean, whatever I'd written about the thing is more or less what has been said by everyone. But the interesting factor when Ada wants to learn about her parents' past, maybe a connection to whatever she felt she was undergoing, and to finally, after she interviews her aunt, etc., it's to identifying herself as an islander. It does come the full circle. I think that was my takeaway from the book. It was easy reading, and overall an enjoyable book.
And Purva, there's just one thing, Latika. What about the girdling of the trees? I thought that's how he explained. Costas tells Ada, and maybe she comes to terms with her mother's loss when he talks about how some trees, the roots just die, the girdling. That was a
the girdling. Yeah.
Yes. Very, very. I thought that was very, very, very insightful, and it sort of made meaning because suddenly in a group somebody just gives away, and maybe definitely committed suicide. We don't know. So that girdling sort of gives hope, and it's sort of an. It was Purva, have you read the book? What is your impression?
I have I don't know. I mean, I think you're good. Sorry, I was. It just froze for the last 20 seconds. Can you repeat what you said?
No. I just want to know what was your review of the book.
I liked it. I mean, okay. It's really not the kind of book I usually read. But I mean, I didn't adore it, but I liked it. I thought it had some interesting themes. I thought, I thought the way it looked at, the traumas of immigrants, the trauma of just, having to leave a place. I thought it was really interesting, but the spoiler did not work for me.
Neither did it. I won't talk about it.
And I agree with what Prema said, honestly. If everything had been tied up neatly in little bows, we would have been calling the book contrived.
Yes, very true. Very true.
Nice. I'm waiting to read the
book.
It's
definitely
Alagu, then you
worth
have
a
to
read.
tell us some point what you think about it.
Yes, Alagu.
Yeah, you tell us too, because we've only been saying what we think about it. None of us have really reviewed the book in that
I'm
sense.
so sorry I never read it this month, but I just thought I would and it didn't happen. But I will
It
read
happens. It's fine.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I have like to mention that one page which I enjoyed thoroughly. I read each and every item on the menu at the time.
That was very nice.
Sadly, I don't think there's a good Turkish restaurant in Chennai.
Very nice, very
nice.
nice.
And that tavern was written. I mean, it's such
wonderful place.
Tender story.
Those two
about
guys at the tavern.
Beautiful.
I wish it was here.
Somebody said that gay couple. It was so beautifully written about them. Nothing.
That's what I said. That little 4 lines about a gay couple was so beautiful.
It was so bad.
But I have to, they never gave you the feeling of awkwardness. They appeared so normal.
So normal.
Yes.
No, just one thing I have to say. I have worked with a Cypriot, and the first thing he told me when I met him was, "I'm a Greek Cypriot." So the divide is really deep and strong. Okay, don't confuse me with an Arab. A Turkish Cypriot. I'm a Greek Cypriot, he said. So we have to certain things we have to keep in our mind. Ottomans had a major role to play in the Middle East, and their culture was very strong and they were very powerful. So that those remnants are still there in the Middle East, and if you work in Middle East with any of the Cypriots or any part of Middle Eastern people, this comes across.
I mean,
for me, it was.
There's another very nice thing she says. While religions clash to have the final say, and nationalisms teach a sense of superiority and exclusiveness, superstitions on either side of the border coexist in rare harmony.
Exactly.
Lots of lovely lines.
And And I
a lot of
apologize,
small
everyone,
things like
but
this.
I need to leave. So
Yes,
yeah,
I think
also
yes,
five,
must
past
be
five.
going
Yeah.
through.
It's time.
Thank
It's
you,
12
Purva.
o'clock.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Purva.
everyone.
Good
Thank you,
night.
everybody.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Purva.
you.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Mala.
Anybody else reading out or anybody else
No, I
talking
think we've
about?
covered everyone.
I believe so, yes.
Have time to, I still need time to finish reading it, but I'll post my review on the group if anybody's interested.
Perfect, yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Bye-bye.
Yours and Alagu's.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
please,
I
please
don't know
do
when
that.
I'll read
Yeah,
mine. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you
Thank you
so
so
thanks
much.
a lot, guys. It was
It's
a
been
lovely
Thank all
Thank
of
you,
session.
you.
everybody.
Yeah, it's been a very
Bye-bye. Thank you
interesting,
so
lively
much.
session, very lively.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bye.
bye,
everyone.
bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
Bye.
bye.